Hey everyone, welcome to our daily gratitude and affirmation practice. Thank you so much for being here. It has been a while since I've done a video like this. So if you are an OG, if you've been with me for quite a bit, I've been doing this almost 3 years now. And so a lot of my videos starting out were like this in my room, just hanging out, having a chat with you guys. And then started doing outside videos. Also, my orchids are blooming again. So that could be a gratitude as well, but haven't done a video with them. Maybe might be tomorrow, might be Monday. We'll see how we're feeling. So we're back to the original one because I was gonna do a car video today in the dark and just turn on a light and make it fun, but I can't bring myself to go back outside. I've done quite a bit of walking today. So here we are. And no, I did not forget to do the video, but let me run you guys through my day, starting with Friday night. So, number one gratitude is I have made a lot of progress in my investments and getting those put in my Excel file and then starting to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I will talk a little bit more about that later. So that is what I did on Friday. But the other thing that I did on Friday, I called a few people. So I did catch up with my sister-in-law, with my friend in California. I feel like there was someone else I called too. I kind of got my sister-in-law and my brother all at once in one call. Who else? And then I think somebody else. But anyways, so that was Friday. Went to the store. Also did a return. It was all good. And then after that, came home. That's when I started on my finances. And shortly after that, decided that I wanted to have a quiet evening. And my evening started around, 10? I was reading till 3 in the morning. Don't come for me. If you're a reader, you understand. You get into your book, and then you can't put it down. And then next thing you know, you're like, I'm almost to the end, and then you have to finish it. So, second gratitude is I'm grateful that I had time to read. It was a decent book. I was going to say it was a really good book, but I liked the storyline. I have something in my eye. That's why my eye's all red. But it's the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my goodness, I can feel it. And I originally read ACOTAR by her. And so what I personally like ACOTAR better right now because I think the world building was better in ACOTAR, and the details and just the way the book was written is exactly kind of how I think. Throne of Glass was her first series. People either like one or the other. I am going to start book 2 tonight. But anyways, I pretty much read through the entire book. So, it was good, but I went to bed at 3. So that means slept in a little bit this morning. Number 3 is that I'm grateful that I was able to get up, make my breakfast, drive down to my appointment. My appointment today was over an hour away. I go down once a month, and so went down to that appointment. Yeah, I didn't really even have a chance to eat breakfast. Just put it all in a little bag and put it in my car, went to my appointment. And then number 4, grateful I had time just to sit, decompress, eat my food. I still can't eat out because I haven't put enough foods back into my diet. Here's a list. Actually, we'll do the list for number 4, but so I'm sitting in my car, I'm eating my food, and there's been a lot of emotions coming up for me this week. I'm still working on this will be a number 4, but I'm still working on fully releasing anger. So number 4 is grateful that I'm actually starting to recognize where it gets stuck in me. For context, growing up, I would express my emotions, but extreme emotions weren't handled well when I was growing up. And so the result of that is usually I got punished for having like extreme emotions, or I think what my parents interpreted as tantrums. I was so frustrated at not being seen, not being heard. I was deeply hurting as a kid, and so got punished for having a tantrum or trying to express anger. And what I've learned now, I've worked through so much of my emotions when it comes to situations that have happened. So when anger comes up, it's not that I'm angry at them. It's almost like it hasn't completed the loop though. And it'll get halfway into the cycle, it'll come up, and I'm like, oh, like I'm angry. But because of everything that went on, I'm still working on that last half of the cycle where it actually can express itself and you get the relief of it. It just stays stuck. So it'll come up. I'm better at like sitting with it, witnessing it, and then I'm like, okay. And my body's like, now what do I do with this? How do I give it up? How do I release it? It's a work in progress. So I had a lot of emotions coming up, and I was sitting there and I was eating, and sometimes I just take a little bit in my car, and to be honest, I sat there for probably 2 hours doing different things, right? I was eating, enjoying my food. It was a nice sunny day. It was warm. My car's comfy. And then I was looking into different things, which I think some of those gave me anxiety, but I am trying to get better at confronting things head on. The other reason why I was sitting in my car is because there is so much traffic. In the US, there's quite a few major cities, but the ones you hear about the most when it comes to traffic, LA, New York, DC. And I live around the DC region. So anytime you're going towards or coming back, you might as well just add on, if you're lucky, an extra 20 minutes. But it's mostly 40 minutes. And God forbid there's an accident, and then you might as well just tack on an extra hour. So I don't get excited to go and drive to this appointment. So I was just sitting there and also building up the like mentality of like, okay, like we have another at least hour of sitting in traffic, and I don't think I've ever taken that route and not seen at least one accident. Most of the times I see one accident going down and one accident coming back. So it's a little ridiculous. And, it is what it is. But that is why I was sitting and just enjoying the nice day and enjoying my breakfast, not rushing myself, and giving myself time to emotionally process and making space and mentally preparing for that drive back. So that's my number 4. So let's see, sat in the car, we ate. Yeah, and literally, guys, the reason why I didn't get a video earlier this morning, woke up and I was like, I need a little bit in bed just because, I did this to me. I went to bed at 3 a.m. and got less than 5 hours of sleep. And then woke up, got ready, took a shower, prepped my breakfast basically as I was doing other things, and immediately went out the door. Went to my appointment, ate in my car, and then was driving back. Driving back took probably an hour, 10 minutes. And at that point too, I was like, I was recognizing that I was very emotionally triggered and just so ungrounded. And I'm like, I got to do something for myself. So I was like, okay, the first thing I'm doing when I get back is I'm going to go to one of my favorite hiking spots. And that's what I did. So drove all the way back, went to that hiking spot. So that's number 5. Again, beautiful sunny day out. And actually, I'm also very proud of myself. So the tool that I've been giving you guys to use, where you're asking yourself a question, and you're leaning and your body leans forward or back to tell you, is this a truth or a lie? I was doing that a lot today. And so I'm walking on the path, and this is one of my favorite places. I've gone there so many times. And I figured that I would go on the normal path I take, and I just had such resistance to that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to ask myself where I want to go then. And so I did that, took a path I don't ever really take, and there were all these beautiful old trees. There's something about old growth forests that it just hits different. Those trees have seen a lot of life. And so one of the fastest ways also to ground, you go out in nature. Nature by itself is grounding, but if you are very dysregulated, put your hands on a tree. There's some trees, if you feel inclined, like kind of hug the tree. I swear, like you will come back into being in alignment, into groundedness so fast. The thing about nature too, right? So we kind of need each other to survive. We breathe out carbon dioxide. They breathe out oxygen. So we're taking in the oxygen, they're taking in the carbon dioxide. It's kind of the same thing though as well with energy. However dysregulated we are, they can use that. And so by us giving them that energy, we kind of receive cleaned, clarified energy back in return. And it's just such a symbiotic relationship. But it took me until I was older, really the last couple of years, to start figuring out the energetic portion of that kind of goes along with the oxygen and CO2. So I'm telling you, if you're super dysregulated, literally go and put your hands on some plants. Or even better too, like I was going to do this today, but I think by the end of the hike I was feeling really good. Take off your shoes. Have your feet connect to the earth. Like we are electronic, not magnetic. Electrified, maybe. We are electrified creatures. This is not something I'm making up. Like it's science-based. We have electrons in our bodies. That's why, in therapies and stuff, you see that they'll use the like electronic stimulation. And that works well for us because it stimulates our nerves and our different systems. So by doing that and connecting with the earth and grounding in that way, you actually reverse the electronic, it's not a frequency, what am I, polarity. So I forget if we are negatively or positively charged, but one of those is not good for us. And so when we ground, it gives us, I think it's positive charges that aren't good. But when we ground, it gives us more electrons that are neutral or negative that cancels out the positive ones. So it helps with like inflammation in the body. There's all these different types of studies. I would highly suggest Googling grounding outside if you haven't heard of this before. That's also why you go to the beach. You're walking on not only barefoot on the sand, but like you have the water, which is very electromagnetic, and it makes you feel really good. And so that's why all of that is beneficial for you. But trees, hug your nature buddies, I guess. Okay, so went on this beautiful walk, saw these like old trees, and it's on this giant farm. I think I looked it up today actually because I was curious. It's like 300 acres. And so a lot of it, because of where I'm at in the US, it's a lot of battlefields, or was used as battlefields back in the Civil War. And so, walking on it, hanging out with the trees, I felt so much better after doing that walk. I also was very conscious and talking to myself about any emotion that I felt, any thought that came across, I'd let it come across and I'd say, okay, I feel that way. And I just stopped trying to assign stories to them. I stopped trying to understand why I even felt that way. So if I felt like a couple, like you could say like lonely or overwhelmed or anxious, apprehensive, sometimes like two thoughts would come in at once, and we don't realize when we have so many thoughts coming in, or I'm sorry, when we're so dysregulated, we probably have thoughts that are kind of overlapping each other that are adding into that chaos and that stress. So I did catch myself a couple of times having very rapid, like overlapping thoughts. I would separate them out and do the same thing. So I'd have a thought and my body would be like, I'm lonely. And I would say, okay, I'm lonely. Wait for the next thought to come in. And I was just doing that on my walk, and man, acknowledging yourself, I don't think we do it enough. So by the end of the walk, I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? And I already set a rule for myself earlier in the day when I was eating my breakfast. I was like, I'm not going to put any expectations on myself. That's part of why I think I'm getting kind of anxious. I'm also going to let myself decide how I move through my day. And so after getting done with the walk, I was like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, I'm actually pretty hungry. At this point, it was 5:00. And last time I ate was breakfast around 10:30. No, I'm sorry. 11:30. So I was like, okay, I'll go home and I'll eat. Oh, and also, right before that, I ended up stopping because, it's like an hour and a half driving. At that point, I was in the car sitting for like 3 hours. And so I ended up stopping in Target to go to the bathroom. And I was like, you know what? What am I going to do for the next food that I'm adding into my diet? So today I was going to add in the squash that David and his wife gave me. But I was sitting in the Target parking lot and I was like, you know what? I think I decided this when I was driving home, that I was just feeling a little bit down. And so I'm like, I'm going to change it. So I had bought at the store, I got myself this bar of the purest dark chocolate I could find. It's like 70% dark chocolate. And I think it only has like sugar in it, but it's not, it's like stevia or something. And then one other thing. And that's it. It's pretty cool. It was a company that their whole slogan was like, make food like it was before, bigger companies ruined it or something. I thought it was funny. But so I was like, okay, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to have the dark chocolate today. And then I'm going to have the squash on Tuesday. Driving home, eating. What am I even on? I think I'm going to say 5 is the bar of chocolate. That was a good moment in my day. So 8, had the first half of the bar of chocolate. It actually was pretty good. I don't like sugary, super sweet, icky stuff. I am more like, give me my dark, bitter chocolate and just with a hint, like just a drop of sweet, and I'm good. And so I was eating this and I was like, this is pretty good. So 6, grateful that I had some time to get through my emails, guys. I made it through my emails. I went through, it had to be about 2,000 emails. I'm about to sneeze. But I went through about 2,000 emails, and that was really stress relieving for me. Just sitting there, I got to go through them. I still had to think about different emails, but it was just kind of cathartic. It was exactly what I needed. Number 7, so while I was going through emails, and mind you, I spent a few hours on this, okay? But I'm not even upset by it. it was, I think, just like a task I needed to just mentally decompress and still do something that I needed to do. Well, while I'm going through my emails, so there was a trip that I went on, my very first trip with, it's a YouTube group, TFIL. There's an amazing couple that, Elton and Ginger. So Elton kind of runs all the channels and stuff. Now they're doing more together. And Ginger, his wife, oh, she's so sweet. Both of them are amazing people, but they would put on trips for subscribers. And the first one that I went on was a trip to Africa. And so I think it was like 2 years ago at this point. And so he put up the video, and it was about an hour and 10 minutes long. And I watched that whole thing, and I was laughing. I teared up. Oh, such good memories. And I'm pretty good friends with quite a few people that are on, or that went on those trips, and I still talk to everybody. And man, the nostalgia, it was such a good video. So I greatly enjoyed watching that. Number 8, after I did my emails, watched the video, I went back into my finances. So where are we at with finances? Friday was basically getting them on the sheet and just kind of taking stock of where I'm at. And the 2 things that I was putting on the sheet, and 3 things. So the first thing I was doing was the investments I made last month that I was averaging into over the course of the next 3 months. So through December, I captured those on a sheet and purchased this month's. So that was taken care of on Friday. Then I got my main trading account that I was actively trading in for a couple of years, put that on the sheet, and put my Roth on the sheet as well. Roth is a retirement account that people in the US can have. And so today, it was looking at those 2. I had already decided that for my main account, I have less than I thought in there. I think a lot of the positions either got sold, transferred. So I have 5 positions, 5 different stocks that I'm holding. One of them being Tesla, which I'm not going to touch. That one's because I bought in so early. I'm up on it, and they did a couple stock splits, and so I actually have more than what I started out. So that one's fine, and then the rest of them are just, yeah, it's one of the first things you learn in trading is not to bag hold, which means like don't hold on to a losing stock, sell it. And so at that point in my life, I was not actively keeping up with my investments the way that I should have. Life happened, and then I just was like, that'll be a later point in life that I come back to this, which is okay. So what I decided for those is I'm going to hold on to them. I will sell some of them between now and next year to put on my taxes as a loss, which means that it will give me a tax credit to whatever gains I do make. And so I'm going to cancel out any profits that I make between now and next year. And then also tonight, I was able to figure out what I was doing with my Roth. Went through all of my accounts, added it to my monthly tab where I'll just look at the investments once a month, decide if I'm keeping or selling and rolling it into something else. There are quite a few losers in that one as well. So figured out what I was going to do for that, and then I will tackle those in a couple of weeks when I do my budget for this month. Okay, I think that was it 7 or 8? We'll just say it's 7. So did the finances. 8, super grateful that I am on the right track. I feel so accomplished, and I'm grateful I have time tomorrow. I am going to purchase, there's someone who I want to utilize their training program, so I'm going to do that tomorrow, start getting familiar with it in preparation for starting to actively trade on Monday and get back into the groove. And number 9. 9 for the day. Oh, I just had one. Horseback riding tomorrow. I am excited for horseback riding. I've really made an effort this week to try and take care of myself. I think it's paying off with getting through some things that have been really important to me, trading being one of them, and just like really putting that back into my life. But I do miss my riding, and I think it's going to be good tomorrow. It's going to be really relaxing. And I also talked to my dad. My car needs some work. I haven't decided if I need to call him. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to do that tomorrow. We'll see. If not, then maybe next weekend. And then 10 for the day. So I already have the other books of Throne of Glass. I will be starting to read the second one. I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful I'm winding my night down. It is earlier than last night, but I'm also grateful I get to sleep in. I've already planned my day out for tomorrow. I already know things I want to get done, finances being one of them. I think cleaning up some of the house is another, and just really taking some time for myself. So, we made it, guys. Thanks for sticking with me there. But it was a busy day. Just kind of went from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Okay. Why don't we do the message? So, message of the day. This came through when I was driving back, actually, or when I was about to drive back. Do you know how loved you are? And I don't mean this as a yes or no question, but do you know? Do you have a knowing in your body of how truly loved you are? And this also doesn't mean from other people. I'm not asking if you know that other people love you. Do you know how much you love yourself? And if that's not the case, what can you do to bring about that feeling of love? And the best way that I can think of to give you a depiction of how you should feel, I'm sure every single person in this life has at least one person that they've intimately loved. That could be a parent, that could be a sibling, that could be a friend, that could be a significant other, that could be grandparents, that could be, I don't know, some people it could be an acquaintance that, dramatically changed their life in some way. But we all have a concept of what it's like to love somebody else. That same feeling that you give to them, when I ask the question, do you know how much you are loved? If that doesn't immediately come to your mind and somewhere in your body for yourself, to yourself, something to work on. Because we think that love is we're pouring into somebody else, they're pouring into us, and that's where we start to run into problems. Because, and I heard someone else put it so beautifully the other day, someone else's essence cannot fill your cup. Let me repeat that. Somebody else's essence, their energy, their giving, cannot possibly fill your internal cup. This goes back to one of my other videos that I was talking to you about, where I said we put all this stuff in our internal space. Who's living in our body? Us. What do? We invite everything else to come live in us. This is the one space that we get entirely to ourselves. We don't have to share with anybody. Like, our power resides here. We don't need to share that out either in order for us to give of excess, right? So I just think it's really crazy that we don't talk about this enough. We don't talk about the fact that our internal space is supposed to be filled and made up of our connection with ourselves and anything that is healthy and nourishing for us. So I'm very curious, how many of you, when I ask you the question, do you know how much you are loved? Do you know how deeply you are loving yourself? How many of you actually feel that you are? I think for most of us, this is something that we're still learning, or maybe we're at the beginning stages of it. So the first step is identifying maybe where you're at, because a lot of times we're looking at other people like yearning and wanting that love, like, oh, like if they just liked me, or if I just got love from them in this way, I would feel fulfilled. All of that stuff, all of those thoughts, you should already be doing for yourself, which is easier said than done. But the thing about relationships is you should always be filling yourself up first, and then the other person, it's like excess on top, the cherry on top. So food for thought. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have any other really good ways of understanding that and putting that into perspective. Okay, and now for the affirmations. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Number 1, as always, I'm divinely guided and supported. I can ask for help whenever I need it, and I humbly ask for help today. Number 2, I love myself deeply, fully, and completely. There's a reason why I started saying that a year and a half ago. And sometimes, even if you don't feel it, starts with the words first. Number 3, miracles and blessings are a common occurrence throughout my day. I love to see them. Number 4, I'm healed and healthy. Anything I'm currently experiencing, I've already implemented as a solution. Number 5, sleep is my divine practice. Looking forward to sleep tonight. Sleep is my divine practice. Deep, refreshing, peaceful, healing, uninterrupted sleep is available to me each and every day, and I claim it today and every day. Number 6, I lean deep in nourishment and healing of self. Number 7, I choose again and I choose better for myself. Number 8, I have infinite possibilities and I choose what is most fun, loving, healing, healthy, energizing, and fun for myself. I think we're on number 8. Number 8, anything I deeply desire is now a part of my present reality in which I'm interacting with, and I have fulfilled my dreams and I am enjoying the current moment. Number 9 for the day. What a beautiful, amazing day to be alive. Let's claim the day, our accomplishments, what we want to do, be, see, feel, hear, show up, appreciate, revel in the fact that we are alive and we get to engage in this experience. And 10 for the day. I sit in silence to know what is. Ooh, that's a good one. That one just came to me and I felt compelled to say it. All right, well, that's all for tonight, guys. I love you all so much. Thank you for thank you for waiting patiently for the video. I will answer all comments tomorrow. Should be back to normal schedule tomorrow. And I'll see if I feel like doing an orchid video for you guys or if we're going to go outside. But love you. Have a wonderful night.